the brand that has taken over ultralight backpacking.
Someone asked him for an autograph.
The type of trail running shoes hikers are swapping out their Ultras for.
The best shoe I've ever used on trail.
And several products that are battling well-established category kings. I talked to, I'm guessing, over 100 thru hikers over the last year on the Appalachian Trail and Pacific Crest Trail, spoke with a lot of brand owners and influencers. I'm about to go over the big and little gear disruptions I'm seeing. And the mayor of Ultralight himself, Mr. Lloyd Vogel from Garage Ground Gear, is going to chime in. And if you stick around to the end, I'll share the 2 best-selling products on their entire site, which were quite surprising.
We've sold these things like absolute hotcakes.
I'm Chris, the founder of Green Billy Meals. Let's dive in. If 2024 was the year of inflatable pad pumps, 2025 was the year of the water bottle. Most of us have repurposed smart water bottles because they match the threads of our water filters. However, Miranda Goes Outside partnered with Mazama to launch her own version of the water bottle, the Migo. And coincidentally, Canuck, who apparently was also in the works of making their own bottle, launched the Thru bottle. And on top of that, Igneous had the Nobo water bottle. Now, all 3 of these fill the void between heavy Nalgene's, but provide something more substantial and squeezable than a smart water bottle. And they have little measure markers.
There's just suddenly a bunch of alternative options for the smart water bottle that exist on the market. That's definitely a product category that we've seen really explode.
Apparently they can't keep these things in stock. Next up is a big shift I'm seeing in footwear. You're probably aware that trail runners have almost supplanted traditional hiking boots entirely over the last decade or so, which this survey from the Trek shows. But the trail runner brands being worn are changing a lot. Ultra led that for many, many years. However, one of the first things I really noticed at both AT and PCT trail days this year is how many Topo athletic shoes there were.
The best shoe I've ever used on trail.
I think you're spot on that I think Topo has been eating a lot of market share away from Ultra.
And the reason seems to be durability.
My finger goes through here on my shoes now.
Ultra's lifespan has really been under fire. I met several hikers that were on their 5th and 6th pairs of Ultras.
I bought 6 pairs.
Which is great that they like the shoes. I actually wear Ultras. But going through that many pairs of shoes on a long distance hike means they're being replaced about every 400 miles or so, which is not impressive. This is where I think Topo started to creep in a few years ago, and a lot more brands are stepping in now, like Norda, Normals, and Mountains to Coast. Some of these shoes are pushing well over $200, but they might last several times as long as Ultras. So it'll be interesting if we start to see the footwear continue to fragment to these more premium and more durable brands, as well as how more boot-like brands like Obos are adapting. Next up is a shift in how we sleep. You've probably noticed the quilt craze over the last few years, which are kind of like backcountry blankets. These have definitely continued to rise in popularity compared to traditional mummy-like sleeping bags, but the quilt has undergone a bit of a twist. Zenbivy is at the forefront of this. They sell a sleep system, which has multiple parts integrated, yes, the pad and the quilt, but the main thing that makes it unique is the sort of hooded sheet that allows you to roll around more freely like you do in your bed at home.
I like Zenbivy a lot, and I think they have found a lot of success because they've taken something that has become more familiar, the quilt, and added a degree of comfort that you find at home.
They didn't launch in 2025, but it certainly felt like they were everywhere in 2025, online and talking to thru hikers.
It's the Zenbivy quilt. It's been great for me because I'm a wide sleeper. I stretch out a lot.
Zenbivy sleep system. It's pretty neat.
This quilt to sleep system seems to be matching the broader shift in people prioritizing sleep in their daily lives, who just want more of that bed-like sleep in the backcountry. I'm personally excited about this shift because I don't sleep well outside, and I've got a Zenbivy that I'll be testing this winter. This next one's a fun one. One thing that really stood out to me this year was the prevalence of cottage gear apparel brands. Now, apparel traditionally has been a space for name legacy brands or completely non-brands that you might find at like Walmart, but that really seems to have shifted more in 2025. I feel like some of these brands have ridden the wave of the sun hoodie popularity and the fan base around products like the coveted Melanzana fleeces. Jolly Gear's bright and flowy shirts, as well as Sam Bob's bright fleeces come to mind, which have really catered their products and styles to hikers. There are a lot more though that are not as brightly colored.
I think it really became an industry with the onset of Alpha. I think that created an entire new cottage market for fleece. Senchi really paved the way, and brands like Farpoint have done an amazing job of kind of capturing and innovating.
And these next couple are what I might call one-on-one battles. They're not industry-wide shifts. These are just challengers trying to topple long-established product kings. The Sawyer Squeeze absolutely revolutionized how we filter water in the backcountry and has been the king of water filters for many, many years. But I was shocked at how many people are using Platypus now, which has the integrity check to see if your filter has been compromised from things like freezing. I might say nearly half the hikers we interviewed were using them. And similarly, Thermarest's X-Lite has kind of been the gold standard for an ultralight sleeping pad for many years, but I saw a lot of Nemo tensors out on the trails. And there were certainly other pads out there as well, but the tensor seems like it really caught up to the X-Lite. Dyneema is still beloved and trusted, but more materials keep coming on the market, and the performance gap between Dyneema and these other materials seems to be shrinking.
We've seen the surge in interest in Alpha to Alula as a fabric has certainly been gaining a lot of interest in intrigue.
I know Gossamer Gear just launched an entire Alula line, so it'll be interesting in the coming years to see how much trust and cost evolve around these new materials, and where Dyneema fits into it.
Next step on material trends would be next-gen laminate materials that are just going to take that to the next level.
Speaking of Mr. Dan Durston, if you haven't noticed, Durston gear has been growing in popularity. You can see how much Durston has risen as the brand of choice. But it feels like Durston fanaticism reached a new high this year.
Durston is pretty cutting edge on his stuff.
I can't say enough about Durston.
I was at PCT days and I was standing next to him when someone asked him for an autograph. And like, that's wild.
And I feel like one day more than half of the hikers we interviewed had Durston tents. Some people do have minor complaints about the zippers.
The zipper was getting stuck.
But overall, people just seem to love his tents and packs. So shout out to Dan and his team. This next one is for the taste buds, ladies and gents. I feel like we might actually start seeing a breakthrough in eating healthier on trails. This has been a sticking point of mine for years. We actually made a whole video about how poor diet impacts your hike. Now, don't get me wrong, there is still a ton of junk food being eaten, but I noticed more people actually eating healthy this year.
I made a bunch of pre-mixed oatmeal for breakfast with chia and flax seeds and a little bit of cinnamon and salt and some freeze-dried fruit.
And some more premium meals coming out.
There was a food brand called Luxfly that recently came onto the market. We are continuing to see an elevation of what the expectations are for backcountry food. I mean, Greenbelly has really been at the forefront of that.
I know this is obviously on par with broader health food awareness and something I've been a lot more mindful about, but it seems like it's finally extending more and more into the backcountry. Next up are some broader gear market trends. This video from My Life Outdoors went viral at the end of last year and was the biggest media coverage I'm aware of on the issue in the outdoor space. If you're not aware, basically a lot of dangerous chemicals are commonly used to treat our waterproof gear, especially jackets, and they've been linked with all sorts of serious health issues.
New rules for regulating forever chemicals known as PFAS.
Toxic forever chemicals used in everything from clothing to cookware to cosmetics.
I feel like the PFAS and forever chemical issue has been known for a while. Like REI announced its commitment to reducing PFAS products back in 2023, but it really felt like a topic of conversation this year and something that customers were steering away from. Like Patagonia said after the spring of 2025, 100% of our new products are made without intentionally added PFAS. Next up is ultralight backpacking as a whole. I feel like the hyper obsession around ultralight gram counting softened more this year.
I've been increasingly ruminating on the thought that I think backpacking is just becoming ultralight backpacking. And not that it's a perfect overlap, but it just is not as difficult as it used to be able to go ultralight.
And I certainly agree. I've noticed a larger acceptance and prevalence of ultralight backpacking. In general, a lot of the products are becoming more mainstream, and the lines between ultralight and regular backpacking just kind of continue to blur.
Probably not ultralight like some of the others.
I also think there's a consensus growing that the lightest weight item might not always be the best, and that balance of weight, performance, and comfort is very personal.
I thought I'd come out here and be Billy Badass and be ultralight. I don't need a sleeping mat and just sleep on this, but I actually got the worst sleep of my life.
So overall, just a reduction in that hardcore gram counter and blending of ultralight and regular backpacking. Okay, you made it to the end. So what items are selling the best at Garage Grown Gear?
The best selling product that we have this year is a ultralight bear bag from Athertech, kind of an Ursac comparison, but yeah, made from a Canadian brand. Probably the product that we sell the most units of is the keychain thermometer by Thermodrop. People like knowing what the temperature is inside their tent, outside of their tent, and these things are small.
So a bear bag and a keychain thermometer. We have an email that goes out every month with outdoor videos like this one, hiking news wrap-ups, insider product developments we're working on, and other random things like what music I'm listening to. Shout out to the story so far. Link to that email list is below. And of course, if you're hungry, check out our Greenbelly meals, which are like 650 calorie Rice Krispie treats on steroids. Peace!
A product that I have found myself bringing with me constantly is the tent stake pusher by Cam's Backpacking Gear. There's like nothing that makes you feel more incompetent than not being able to get a stake into the ground.